Habits and challenges Shukanka. Great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Vincent van Gogh. Up to this point, we have very much been concentrating on ways in which you can amend and improve your existing habits. The focus has been on interrogating the things that aren't working for you and making very small adjustments to your environment and how you go about your daily life. But acquiring entirely new habits and taking on exciting challenges can often be just as difficult to stick to as letting go of bad habits. You can start off full of inspiration about how you are going to become a cello virtuoso, caricaturist, tightrope walker, karate champion, expert baker, delete as appropriate in the next year, but then find that other, seemingly more important, things get in the way or your motivation wavers. Using Kaizen techniques to introduce these new hobbies or challenges into your life at a gradual pace, with minimal disruption, can mean that you are more likely to keep up working towards your goal. Acquiring a new hobby is great because it encourages you to learn new skills and adopt new habits. And, coming back to the Kaizen concept of Yokoten, as you overcome the challenges and difficulties in your new hobby, you will build confidence, which will then build your confidence in other areas of your life and encourage you to take on more challenges there too. Not only this, but getting a new hobby can be a great way to meet people who you have something in common with, or provide some much-needed alone time away from children, work, housemates. When you are overwhelmed with the demands of daily life, hobbies can be a brilliant way to de-stress and refocus your mind. They stimulate your brain in a different way, a world away from work where you are answering endless emails or spending your evening mindlessly scrolling through social media. It doesn't have to cost a fortune and doesn't involve doing anything that is detrimental to your health. What's not to like? It may be that you already have a strong passion for something and a keen idea of what you would like to take on as a new hobby. Or it could be that you know that you want to take on a new activity, but haven't got much inspiration or a clue where to start. As children, we are encouraged to adopt all sorts of hobbies and to challenge ourselves in new ways, but as an adult, it can be hard to know where to start and how to find the time. In this section, I'm going to provide some inspiration for various new activities you could try, along with advice on how to go about introducing these activities gradually into your routine, using Kaizen techniques, so that you are aware of what benefits they are bringing to your life and you are more likely to keep motivated to do them. How to choose a hobby. Rather than picking one hobby and spending lots of money on equipment or a whole package of lessons, first try out a few different things to see what you enjoy doing. Lots of courses or workshops will let you have a free taster session, or ask your friend if you can try out the activity using their equipment. Trying out several hobbies for size before committing will make you more likely to pick one that will genuinely relax you and enhance your life. Consider the following when choosing a new hobby. Why do you want to do it in the first place? Consider the reasons why you want to take up a new hobby. Is it because you want to get outside more, or spend more time away from work, to meet other people in your area, or simply to test yourself? What were your childhood passions? Sometimes the hobbies that you had as a child are things that you are genuinely interested in. I used to play the piano and violin right up until I left school, but then let both things fall by the wayside when I went to university and didn't have anywhere to practice. I'm determined to start playing again soon. Think if you have similar childhood hobbies that you could pick up again. First Kaizen step. Write down 5 things that you loved to do as a child and see if any might be worth picking up again. Do you have any neglected hobbies? As well, looking at your childhood, are there any hobbies from your near past that you could pick up again? Is there a half-written short story lying in a drawer or a fancy camera stored under your bed that you bought with the intention of getting into photography? Get some inspiration. There are lots of ideas in the next section for small ways in which you can start to explore new hobbies, and there are sources of inspiration all around too. First Kaizen step. Visit a bookshop, an art supply shop, a sports shop or music shop, and note what you are most drawn towards. Do you automatically go to the cookbook section, to the crochet materials, or are you intrigued by all of the yoga equipment? Can you make it? Think about items that you regularly buy that you could make instead. Rather than spending lots of money on a new armchair, can you learn how to re-upholster your existing chair? Can you make your own candles or knit your friend a scarf for his birthday rather than buy a new one? Will this activity relax you? Whatever you choose for your hobbies, they should enhance your day and not feel like a drain. Be honest with yourself about what your skills are and what makes you happy, and you will be more likely to stick to the new hobby. If you love singing but are worried about your aptitude, join a choir that accepts all levels. If you don't have a natural aptitude for learning new languages, then taking that expensive advanced Mandarin class is probably going to be a waste of money and energy, but starting a beginner Mandarin very slowly in a Kaizen manner will be far less stressful. Similarly, if something bores you and doesn't excite you, then it isn't worth committing time to either. Just because your friend has become an expert knitter of woodland animals doesn't mean you have to too. Your new hobby should be stress-free and fun, not a boring drain on your time. Each person is different and will want to pursue their hobbies for varying reasons, so don't feel pressured to start an activity if you won't genuinely enjoy it. Think about what you want to get out of starting a new hobby. It might be that you like solving problems and so want a hobby that scratches that itch. It might be that you are having a stressful time of it and want an activity you can get lost in. It might be that you've moved to a new place and want a way to meet new people. Or it might be that you have a desire to improve your knowledge of something to stimulate your brain. How to stick to your hobby. One of the main problems I have with trying out something new or resurrecting an old passion is that I start off full of enthusiasm, which then wanes after a few weeks. I decide that I'm definitely going to write an award-winning feminist novel, but then stop after a couple of writing sessions. Or I buy a sketchbook so that my hidden artistic talents can finally rise to the surface and then never use it. I find it hard to fit new activities into my routine when I'm working, and often get frustrated that I'm not completely brilliant at something straight away. If you feel similarly, here are some tips for how to stick to your new hobby. Start off very small. Remembering the Kaizen approach and introducing a new activity into your routine with the least amount of disruption will mean you are more likely to stick to it. It can help to peg the activity to something you already do. Start knitting while you watch the evening news every day, or use the 10 minutes waiting for your morning coffee to brew to write 100 words of your novel. When you get home from work, dedicate 10 minutes to practicing the piano before you do anything else. Commit to spending time on your hobby, rather than trying to fit in your new activity when you have a small break from all of your other commitments. Allocate some set time to your new hobby. Fill out the time in your calendar and set a reminder so that you definitely don't plan anything else in its place. Start your new activity at a time when you are more likely to stick to it. If you know that you are going to have a busy work period, then decide to take up the new hobby once that is over. Also, think carefully about the time of year and whether that will affect your motivation for doing something. For example, you may feel more inclined to take up indoorsy craft activities if it is cold and miserable outside, or you may be more likely to stick to your new birdwatching hobby when it is warm and sunny. First Kaizen step: write down one hobby that you could start for each season of the year. Keep a reminder of why you have taken up the hobby in the first place. Hopefully, the fact that you have thought carefully about the hobby or challenge that you want to take up will mean that your passion will keep you motivated, at least initially. If you feel your motivation starting to wane, then it is helpful to have a reminder of why you wanted to do it in the first place. First Kaizen step: stick a reminder of why you embarked on the activity in the first place to your mirror or kitchen fridge to keep you motivated. Ask friends and family to help. Involving your friends and family with your new hobby, whether that's showing them the drawings you've been doing or playing them the Bob Dylan song you have learned on the guitar, will help to positively reinforce your reasons for doing the activity in the first place. If you are worried that you might lose motivation, then ask them to keep checking up on you and hold you to account if you are working towards a particular goal. Keep a record of how you are progressing and note the benefits of your new activity. If you are keeping a journal, see page 55, then dedicate a page of it to your new activity and write down each day if you have done something towards it and how it is making you feel. Don't be too hard on yourself if you miss a few sessions. Life can sometimes get in the way of the goals that you have set, so don't be harsh on yourself if your motivation wanes for a bit. The main thing is that you pick the activity back up. But don't plow on with something for the sake of it if you aren't enjoying it. If you really aren't finding your chosen new activity fun or relaxing, then it is far better to channel your energy into searching for a more stimulating hobby that you might have more chance of sticking to. New challenges. I decided to learn Japanese and then moved to Tokyo because I felt in need of a challenge and that my life could benefit from a shake-up. And being in Japan spurred me on to write this book, something that I would never have thought to do or committed the time to do beforehand. Your new challenges don't have to be quite as drastic as mine though, don't worry. Getting out of your comfort zone and testing yourself, whether that is becoming a master of Sudoku puzzles or finally perfecting your illustration skills, can boost self-esteem, get you out of a rut, and give you new skills to employ in other areas of your life, such as your career. For anybody who really doesn't have any idea of what activity they would like to take up, here are some ideas for things you can try and small Kaizen method-approved challenges to get started. Words and language. Commit to a writing challenge. Rather than sitting at your computer with a blank page in front of you, trying to magically be blessed with inspiration, try to do a small writing challenge each day instead. This can be the springboard for a bigger writing project, and will get you in the habit of putting words down on the page. There are lots of podcasts and blogs dedicated to writing challenges. Learn a new word every day. The OED and various other online services will email you a word and its etymology each day, or seek one out yourself by looking in the dictionary. First Kaizen step. Start keeping a log of all of the new words that you discover, the more obscure the better. Improve your handwriting. If, like me, you feel like your handwriting has turned into a spidery mess now that you mostly use a computer to write, try out some calligraphy activities or take a course. My friend did a course before her wedding and saved a fortune on invitations and place cards, as she made her own with her beautiful handwriting. Start a blog. There are now tons of online sites that will help you to put together a blog page for free. You can dedicate it to one of your passions or use it for a brain dump. Try to write an entry every day, even if it is just something very short. It can be for your personal consumption or a way to connect with friends or people who have similar interests. My boyfriend wrote a blog while we were in Japan, and it was a great way of keeping in touch with people at home, updating them on what we had been up to, and keeping a catalogue of our many memories. Start reading more. If you haven't read a book in ages, borrow one from the library or ask for a recommendation from a friend, and dedicate a short amount of time each day to reading it, perhaps on your commute or just before you go to bed. Do you appreciate having some time away from a screen and a chance to be absorbed in another world or another person's voice? If you are already a regular reader, can you set yourself a challenge to read a certain number of books in a year or books only written by authors from different countries? First Kaizen step. Find a new book and try to read it within a fortnight. Improve your general knowledge. It could be that you want to do better on the pub quiz machine or complete crosswords faster, or that you feel like your knowledge of Manchester United's 1992 squad is lacking, or that you wish you knew more about the French Revolution. Try choosing one topic a week to learn about, and then read some online articles. Listen to TED talks or podcasts, or open a good old-fashioned book about it. Over the course of the day, make a note of any other topics you come across that you would like to know some more about, whether that's something you read online, in a newspaper, or something you heard about at work. First Kaizen step. Listen to a TED talk or informative podcast, and then tell a friend or partner about what you have learned. Start learning a language online. Is there a language that you started learning at school, but which you let fall by the wayside? Or are you planning to visit a new country and want to know some of the language before you get there? It is never too late to learn another language, and one of the great benefits of all the technology that we now have access to is that it has made it very cheap and accessible to do so. There are lots of language learning apps that you can download onto your phone or online courses that you can take. If you are unsure which language you would like to try, testing some out on your language learning app can be a great way to see if you get on with it before you commit. I learned Japanese for 6 months before my trip to Japan, and practicing the various characters on a flashcard app on my phone really helped me to learn the 3 alphabets more quickly. First Kaizen step. Download a language learning app and try it out for 30 minutes. Or learn a language IRL. If you have tried out a few different languages for size and decided that you want to take it to the next level, then why not sign up to a course? I used to find that my weekly Japanese lesson after work was a great way to switch my brain to doing something that wasn't just answering emails. If you don't have the means to fork out for a language course, then social media can be a great way to connect with others who might be wishing to learn a language. My friend learns French by having conversational lessons with a French guy she met via Twitter, and in turn, he learns English from her. All for free. Having a partner or friend to practice with can keep you both motivated too. Sounds. Educate yourself about a new musical genre. Have you always wished that you knew more about classical music? Or the history of rock and roll? There are infinite online resources for learning about music, whether that is falling down a YouTube hole of watching lots of music videos or seeking out documentaries. I always feel ashamed that I don't know enough about classical music, so have started to listen to classical music radio stations when I have a task to complete at work and need music to help me concentrate and block out the rest of the office. Learn an instrument. Have you always wanted to master Joni Mitchell on the guitar to impress your friends at dinner parties, or play jazz piano in a smoky low-lit nightclub to a crowd of glamorous people on dinner dates? Or did you learn the clarinet at school but desert it as soon as you started to fancy boys instead? Taking up an instrument as an adult can be a really rewarding experience and a great hobby to help you decompress after a stressful day at work. You don't have to commit to expensive lessons and buying a brand new instrument from the very start. Buy a cheap second-hand instrument, try one out in a music shop or music library, or borrow one from a friend to see if you like it. There are also hundreds of online video tutorials and courses for you to explore before taking the plunge with proper lessons. Starting small and inexpensive to see if it is a hobby that fits with your routine will mean you have more chance of persevering rather than blowing a load of money on an expensive instrument, practicing for a few days, and then letting it sit under your bed for the rest of eternity. Improve your singing voice. Whether you are a budding soprano who has never reached the heights of success that you deserve, or a tone-deaf karaoke fiend who wants to be able to do a better rendition of Lady Gaga, there is always room for improvement. Seek out the hundreds of online videos about singing technique and practice. Art and crafts. Start making your own clothes and accessories. Whether you prefer to sew, knit or crochet, learning how to make your own clothes can be immensely satisfying and can save or make you lots of money too. Start off with a very small project, such as knitting a scarf for a baby or sewing together a cushion cover or tote bag, and see how you go from there. Cheap offcuts of material can often be found in charity shops, on sale at craft stores or online on second-hand sites. Patterns can often be found for free or very cheaply online, or club together with a friend to buy them and share. Get into flower arranging. Kado, or the art of flower arranging, is a very popular activity in Japan, and there are over 2,000 schools dedicated to teaching the subject. While flower arrangement in the West consists of symmetrically arranging flowers in a vase, Japanese ikebana, literally, flowers kept alive, involves far more complex arrangements. There are different styles of arrangement depending on the school and the plants and vase used. The emphasis is not just on the flowers themselves, but on the whole arrangement and how all of the various elements work in harmony with each other. Find a local flower arranging course or learn via the plentiful online resources available. Your local florist will also be a useful source of information and will potentially give you some leftover flowers and extras too. Brush up on your art history. Would you love to know some more about Hokusai's wave paintings or Picasso's blue period? There are now lots of ways to learn about art that don't have to involve committing to an expensive art history degree. First Kaizen step. Pick one artist and look up one of their paintings every day for a week, or read something about an art movement for 5 minutes each day. Start drawing and or painting. Did you enjoy art classes at school like me, but haven't picked up a pencil or paintbrush since? When you're younger, sitting down and drawing or colouring is second nature, however good you are at it, but as you get older the habit often falls by the wayside, especially if you feel like you don't have a talent for it. Being creative has been shown to increase dopamine, the pleasure hormone levels, and art therapy is regularly used as a way to treat a number of conditions, including depression and anxiety, as it reduces stress levels and increases self-esteem, and it also improves memory retention. 34. First Kaizen step. Try spending 5 minutes of your day drawing somebody, whether that is your husband or a stranger, and see how you feel afterwards. Make cards and presents. Rather than forking out for expensive birthday cards or thank you notes, can you be creative and make them yourself, if you feel like your painting or drawing skills need work? Then can you make a collage of photos that mean something to your recipient? I'm sure it will be more treasured than a random shop-bought card, and will be much cheaper too. Similarly, rather than spending a small fortune on a wedding present that your friends will forget about, can you make them a print of a poem or song that means something to them? Food. Learn to make your favorite takeaway meal from scratch. If you aren't a very confident cook or are looking to save some money, challenge yourself to make your favorite dish from scratch. Teaching yourself some basic skills and favorite flavor combinations can revolutionize your attitude to cooking. There are lots of resources to help, either online or in cookery books, and you could enlist the assistance of your partner, friends, family too. Try out a cookery technique you have never tried before. If you are already a capable cook, think of a recipe or cookery technique that you have never made before and try it out, whether that is making a soufflé that doesn't immediately sink or the perfect pad thai. Broaden your horizons. Seek out a cuisine that you have never tried before and research the food culture. There are hundreds of brilliant food documentaries on streaming services now. If you are lucky enough to live in a big city with a varied food culture, then try out the new cuisine in real life, or otherwise try to make a dish at home. Start a supper or cake club. If you feel like your culinary talents are ready to be shown to the world, turn your hobby into something you can share with your friends or colleagues. My friend has a monthly pie club with her friends where each month a different member of the group makes a pie, and they all meet up to eat it. Not only do they get to sample a delicious pie each month, but it's an ideal excuse to regularly see each other when their schedules are all so busy. If you are a baker, then a cake club at work can be the perfect way to bond with new colleagues and show off your skills. You could even sell your items and donate the money to a different charity each month. The outdoors. Get to know the history of the area in which you live. Do you live in a town or city but have little knowledge of the local history? Do you know the story behind the old factory building that has now been turned into luxury flats? Have you noticed any unusual architecture? When I visit a new place, I love exploring on foot and finding out about the history around me, but I rarely do so when I'm home and in the places where I spend most of my time. Local libraries can be a great source of information on the history of your area, or see if there are any walking tour available. And if you are in a city with lots of tall buildings, remember to look up. You often see a whole other side to a place above ground. Get out further afield. Is there a part of your city or a town nearby which you have never visited even though you have always meant to? First Kaizen step. If you have a bike, then try cycling just a bit further away from your usual route and exploring a new place. Or catch local transport to a station or stop which you have never been to before. You might be pleasantly surprised by what you find. Learn about nature. When I was little, I was always curious about what a leaf plant tree bird I had just spotted was, but this curiosity disappeared when I was at school, and there was so much more information to cram into my brain. But I am finding that as I get older, this desire to know more about nature and the environment is returning. I live in South London, where there are hundreds of parakeets living in my local park, something you'd never expect in such a big city, and amazingly, people still aren't absolutely sure how they got here. I find myself constantly surprised by the variety of nature that manages to survive in spite of all of the pollution and noise. But I still wish that I could automatically identify a species of bird or tree or flower just by looking at it. If you feel the same, how about challenging yourself to learn about one of these topics? Aside from the plentiful amount of books on the subject, there are now some really useful identification apps that you can download too. Try out Shinrin Yoku, or Japanese forest bathing. Getting out in nature has been shown to have multiple benefits for both our mental and physical health. A guide to the art of Japanese forest bathing can be found on page 252. Not only is it easy to do by yourself or with a partner friend, but there are now Shinrin Yoku groups starting up around the world, if you are keen to hang out with fellow forest bathers in your area. The art of Shinrin, or Japanese forest bathing. Shinrin, forest, Yoku, bathing, became popular in Japan in the 1980s as a form of nature therapy for its stressed-out and overworked citizens, after the government conducted a series of studies into the benefits of getting out into nature. The idea was to go and immerse yourself in designated forest areas in order to rejuvenate your mind. It was a way to get people outside and encourage healthier lifestyles, and eventually it became properly introduced as a public health program. The Shinto religion in Japan puts much emphasis on the importance of nature, and the Japanese have honored sacred spirits in nature, in mountains, rocks, rivers, and trees, since ancient times. This, coupled with the abundance of forest areas in the mountainous archipelago that is Japan, means it is no real surprise that forest bathing originated there. But the good news is that you don't have to travel to Japan to try it out.